All right, today we're diving into one of Baltimore's most iconic neighborhoods, Fells Point. We've got our hands on an expert's guide that pulls back the curtain on what's really going on with its real estate market. And trust me, the story behind the numbers, it's not what you think. So let's get right into it. So, our inside scoop comes from Ed Drost, an appraiser who's been working in Baltimore for 35 years. And he says that few places capture the city's soul like Fells Point. You know, when a guy who's seen it all for that long uses a word like soul, you're talking about something way deeper than just brick and mortar. We're talking about real character. And that character, it comes from this incredible collision of worlds. You can literally feel the centuries of history under your feet on these cobblestone streets, but at the same time, the whole neighborhood just buzzes with this vibrant modern energy. It's that mix, that old meets new thing, that makes it so captivating. To really get why a home here is valuable today, we've got to go back, way back, because the story of Fells Point real estate doesn't start with some recent sales report. Nope, it starts centuries ago. This timeline kind of shows you the neighborhood's DNA being built piece by piece. It kicks off in 1763 as a major shipbuilding port, then becomes a commercial hub with Broadway Market, and finally its historic legacy gets locked in 1969. Every single one of these moments laid the groundwork for its value today. And this history isn't just stuck in some book on a shelf. It's like a living museum. You're walking past over 300 historic buildings, past the same shipyards where Frederick Douglass worked, where they built those legendary Baltimore clippers. This tangible history, you can feel it. It's the absolute bedrock of this place's value. Okay, so that's the past. But how does all that history actually translate to today? What's it feel like to live in Fells Point right now? You know, what's the vibe? Well, the vibe is a massive part of the appeal, and the range is just incredible. You can get world-class oysters, grab some amazing street food, or have a drink at the oldest bar in the city, where Edgar Allan Poe might have had his last drink. It's this mix of high-end and historic, local and legendary that just makes the lifestyle here so desirable. And the secret to making all this work today, it's a simple, brilliant concept: adaptive reuse. Instead of just tearing down those old, beautiful waterfront warehouses, they were totally transformed. That industrial grit became these stunning loft apartments, cool little shops and cafes. It's just a masterclass in how to build a modern, walkable life while keeping all that historic character intact. Okay, so Fells Point is historic, it's charming, it's got a fantastic lifestyle. Logically, you'd think its real estate market would be absolutely on fire, right? Well, this is where our story hits the brakes and takes a very, very sharp turn. And this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? With all this amazing stuff going for it, what are the actual market numbers telling us right now? Brace yourself, because it is probably not what you're thinking. And here it is, a drop of nearly 19% in the median sale price compared to last year. That is a big number, a number that, on its own, would make most buyers and investors pretty darn nervous. But hold on, it gets even crazier. Just look at this. The median price per square foot, it's down by more than half, a drop of over 52%. I mean, this is the kind of stat that just screams major trouble in the market. So what on earth is going on here? Yeah, when you pull the whole picture together, it looks bleak. Sale price is down, price per square foot has totally cratered, houses are sitting on the market longer, and even the rents have taken a hit. On the surface, every single indicator is just flashing bright red. But this is exactly why we look to an expert. Raw data tells one story, right? But experience, context, they tell a completely different one. So now we get to the real heart of this thing, the appraiser's inside take on what these numbers really mean. See, it all comes down to perspective. The raw numbers, they seem to suggest a market that's cooling off fast, maybe falling demand, definitely increased risk. But our 35-year veteran appraiser, he looks at the exact same numbers and sees something totally different. A market correction, a buying opportunity, and huge potential for long-term value. So what even is a market correction? Well, it's not a crash. Think of it more like a reset. It's a downward adjustment that usually happens after prices have shot up really, really fast. Basically, the market is just catching its breath and settling back to a healthier, more sustainable price. And our expert, Ed Drost, he just nails it right here. He doesn't say prices have crashed. He says they've corrected, and he's not framing this as a crisis at all. He's framing it as a door opening up for anyone who's thinking about the long game. So that brings us to the big takeaway. How do we wrap all of this up? The deep history, the awesome lifestyle, and this expert read on the data into one clear, actionable idea for anyone looking at this market? Well, it really boils down to 4 key things that drive value here. 1, the timeless character. That historic charm creates demand that just doesn't go away. 2, the market opportunity. This correction means you can get in at a lower price point. 3, rental strength. You've got steady tenant demand from all the nearby job centers. And 4, walkability and culture. That is a huge driver of value in any city today. I mean, these are just rock-solid fundamentals. So when you put it all together, the conclusion is actually really simple. Those scary-looking numbers, they aren't a red flag warning you about a neighborhood in decline. They're a green light signaling a rare chance to get into a blue-chip, A-list neighborhood at a serious discount. And that really leaves us with one last thing to chew on. When markets are all over the place, going up and down and trends come and go, is putting your money in a place with a soul, a place with an unshakable, timeless character, is that ultimately the safest and smartest bet you can make? It's a really interesting question, right?